and then we'll take questions. Coach?
Well, first off, congrats to Rutgers. Gritty win for them. Anytime you play those guys, you know it's going to be kind of that kind of game, right? A grinded out, kind of disjointed, in a good way. They do a good job kind of taking you out of your stuff and making you play, in some discomfort. And obviously for us, the 15 turnovers, played a part. I was really proud of our guys' toughness tonight. Already a little bit undermanned with injuries, and then, one of our top guys gets kicked out of the game, 9 minutes into the game, which was a huge play. Obviously, what Ryan's meant to us. But that being said, our guys just kept fighting. We found a way to tie it there, making a three. But then give them credit. Hyatt comes down and hits a three. We got 2 free throws to get it back to 1, and then we really needed one stop there, and Williams made a big-time shot, the running one-handed shot there at the end of the clock, which is got to tip your cap. I thought it was pretty good defense on the play. So disappointing loss for us, it just stinks, because I thought our guys' effort was really good. I thought our fight was there, and we had our chances, 2 minutes to go and it's tied, and we just couldn't really get the stops we needed in the last couple minutes, and credit Rutgers for that.
Chris, what was the explanation you were given for why that was a flagrant 2, and what did you think of the call?
Yeah, well, I guess letter of the law is if the contact – I was told that the letter of the law in the rule is if the contact occurs to the groin area, then if it's deemed that it was flagrant, then it has to automatically be a flagrant 2 and not a flagrant 1. My whole thing about the call is we better make sure then that was like an intentional elbow. Because if we're going to kick the kid out of the game because we know that the rule is a flagrant 2, then we better make sure that it wasn't just a basketball play, that a kid was getting trapped in the corner and he's trying to beat a trap and you accidentally hit a guy in that area. So that's my only thing. And the referees obviously thought that it was an egregious, intentional elbow. And so I'm not sure, knowing Ryan Langborg the way I know him, I'm not sure he plays the game like that. But that was the explanation. So, you got to go with what is called. But to say that wasn't a big play in the game. So my only thing was, let's just make sure. Because, now you have the second half, you have a kid stomping one of my guys, and he doesn't get kicked out. So you got a guy in a trap who's trying to get out of a trap, and there's contact low, kicked out of the game, and a guy who intentionally stomps a kid, and one gets kicked out and one doesn't. So that's just where it's a little bit hard to – but these guys are good refs, and again, like I just know Ryan Langborg. I've never seen that kid intentionally swing an elbow to try to hurt somebody or to try to hit somebody in that area. So, but it was called. What are you going to do? It was called, and we have to move on. And obviously it really hurt our ball handling, with having him out. And to Rutgers' credit, they did a good job really trying to put 2 guys on Boo at all times and making other guys handle the ball and make plays. And we weren't able to make them pay, for that. And that kind of was the story of the game. And we had some turnovers as well. The 15 turnovers is way too much for us.
Jeremiah Williams seemed to be able to get downhill in the second half. What did you see from him during that second half? And
Yeah, no, he's a good player. He's big, he's strong. The one thing he's added, you can tell the joy of the game for him to play. Here's a kid who had an Achilles injury, right? Missed a whole year, then misses the first 20 games. He's chomping at the bit to get out there. And I really just feel like watching them play these last 3 games and then tonight, his energy more than anything has really uplifted their team. It's given all these guys a little bit more life. I noticed it even with the big fella Cliff, since Jeremiah's been back, you've seen his play. But he's, Jeremiah's a good player. He's a Chicago kid. We know him well. He's big. He's strong. He can get to the mid-range. He had some big floaters. We were kind of fortunate. You got to be careful with Cliff rolling, so you got to sometimes live with, some of those pull-up jumpers or pull-up floaters. He made a couple really big ones in the second half. And then the last shot I thought was a big-time shot. I thought we were all over it. And he, hits the running hook there at the end of the clock. So good player, man. He's really added a lot to their team. He competes. He's a good defender. and he's made him better. I'm happy for him. You never want kids to be injured and miss time, and his joy of the game is evident when you watch him play out there.
Yeah, Coach, how do you think Langberg's ejection kind of impacted the offense, and what did you see from Justin Mullins in particular on both ends of the floor?
Really proud of Justin. Obviously it's been frustrating road for Justin, not getting a chance to be in the rotation kind of as we've, played here during the year, and we're playing really well and kind of got a good thing going. And, when Ty went down, I met with him again, and I just kind of reiterated to be ready, and you never know when your number's going to be called. Obviously when Ryan went out, we needed him, and really proud of him for staying ready and continuing to be ready when called upon. He came in. Forget about making the 3 shots, but, I thought his 4 block shot, just his energy level, his activity, his athleticism, blocked some shots at the basket. It's a great, hopefully, confidence builder for him as we move forward, because we're gonna need him. We need all hands on deck moving forward. And I'm not sure how to answer the question about Ryan Langborg. I think it impacted the game tremendously, in my opinion.
Chris, I know Mag was a late scratch, like just before the start of the game, but did that impact you guys at all? Your strategy? Any?
Not really. I mean, he's a really good player. It's just another kind of athletic. Credit Hyatt, another guy who's kind of been put to the bench, since William, but he was ready and he makes the big 3 there, at the end to give him the lead. So, I have a great deal of respect for Hyatt. For Mag, I think he's one of my favorite players to watch. His energy, the way he plays in their press, his activity level, his cutting. So I wasn't sure about that. They just said it was a change in the lineup, and you got to be ready for who's out there.
Emphasize on Ryan play and just overall. You mentioned the 15 turnovers. Wanted to ask you, the physicality tonight by Rutgers.
Yeah.
How did that play a factor into the offense and just the overall game?
Yeah, no, guys, it was really hard, for us to really get into anything because of that, their physicality. They were extending the floor, and then they were just putting 2 guys on Boo. So it was really hard. And he's a willing passer, right? If you're going to put 2 players on one guy, then you got to play 4 on 3 on the other guys left on the floor, and we just couldn't take advantage of that. We weren't able. They did a good job on Brooks and Nick. Those 2 guys. Those are kind of, with Ryan out, those become kind of your next 2 options, and those guys went 6 for 24 tonight. So, Rutgers is their numbers bear out, right? They're one of the best defensive teams in the league. So, when you take out, 13 points from Barry, you take out 12 to 13 points from Langborg, and you're playing against the best defensive team, points are going to be hard to come by, right? So, really for us to get to 60, with all the things we went through was probably pretty good. But, we got to figure it out. Like I told the guys, we're not in the moral victory business. No one cares that guys are hurt or guys get kicked out of games. Everyone's trying to win games. No one feels sorry for anybody. Like you guys got to step up and you got to be ready. We have a good team. We have a tough team, but you got to find wins this time of the year. And, it's just been frustrating on the road for us. We've put ourselves, our first road game, we got killed by Illinois. These last 6 road games that we've had, or last 5 road games that we've had, we've been tied inside of 4 minutes on all 5 of them, and haven't won any. So, you got to keep putting yourself in that occasion, but then you got to really dig down on the road, especially, and find a way to get close wins when you get to that point.
Time for 2 more questions. Aisha?
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned a little bit about Brooks' struggles from the field, but he's still kind of tallied a double-double with 14 rebounds. Can you just talk about his activity sort of on the boards, especially being undermanned?
Yeah, Brooks is a warrior. He plays so hard. He didn't really have the offense going tonight in terms of his shots, but it's not going to deter his energy and his fight. For him to get 14 rebounds and a couple, he's always active. He gets a block shot. He's a competitor, man, and that's what I love about him. If he's making shots or not, he's going to compete, and that's why we've had a lot of success, because when you have guys who are just all about winning, a lot of times that carries over to the game. So I know he's going to bounce back offensively, but for him to get 13 defensive rebounds against these athletes kind of shows where he was battling all night long.
Last question on the left.
Coach, you mentioned Nick Martinelli, who was kind of thrust into action a little more these last couple of games, played almost the whole game tonight. You mentioned he struggled with his shot, but defensively you could feel his presence. What have you seen from him in this elevated role so far?
Yeah, again, another young player who's, it's a next man up thing. He was kind of our super 6 man. when we had our regular starting five before Ty's injury. And when Ty went down, now, you got to step into that starting role, and you got to be a guy counted on every night, in which for a sophomore, this is a very old league right now. There's not a lot of young players, playing on a lot of these rosters. So these minutes for young players is valuable, and hopefully every game he plays on the road like this is great learning. But he's a baller. He didn't shoot it as well tonight. They were able to take away his floater a little bit, but he's a guy he's not afraid of the moment. He wants to be in there. He's a competitive kid, and we love having him with us. We just need everybody to step up, right? When you get a couple guys down, you got to step up and make the plays necessary, and that's what we're going to need out of him and others.
All right, that'll wrap
All
us
right,
up.
thank you guys. Appreciate it.